Cuffs are off, man. Get right. Too many left in these leagues, but I ain't gonna leave. I'ma get right. Get right. Down to the bottom and scratch it for all the...
Hey everybody, Adam Rank here.
What's up everybody? It's Marcus Grant.
This is AJ Dillon of the Green Bay Packers.
I got to give a shout out to y'all at Get Right Fantasy.
If you are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? You want to lose your league?
Check out the Get Right Fantasy Network.
You got to get right with the Get Right Fantasy Network.
And best of luck with your podcast. Appreciate the support.
And you're tuned in to watch my boys at Get Right Fantasy Network. Get you right. Enjoy the show.
But I tune in every Friday. Strategies provided, I will lock in every way. So go and roll your sleeves up. Yeah, go roll your sleeves up. And I'm getting down cause I roll my sleeves up. And I'm getting right cause I roll my sleeves.
What up? What up? What up, world? We are back. I'm Anthony, aka Rasta, and this is Get Right Fantasy Network. It's Monday, June 24th, and that means there's only 73 more days until NFL kickoff, September 5th. Chiefs, Ravens. I cannot wait, you guys. How you doing, man? I'm here with my buddies Phil and Kendall, as you guys know, from the Extra Point in the Football Tavern. What's up, gentlemen? How are you?
We're doing great.
Doing fantastic, man. Happy to spend Monday with y'all.
For sure.
Phil, why don't you tell us what we're doing tonight?
Yeah, man. Tonight, we're going to be jumping into the Puppy 2 tournament on UnderdogFantasy.com. For those that don't know, it's a $5 entry with $100K. You heard me right. $100 grand to first place. Second place, not too shabby, $60K. And third place, pulling in just over $31K. The rosters tonight going to be 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, 1 tight end, a flex, 10 bench spots, 18 total rounds. This is a 4-point passing touchdown scoring format, half PPR, 1 point for every 25 passing yards, 1 point for every 10 rush and receiving yards. The regular season is played weeks 1 through 14. Playoff weeks are 15, 16, and 17. Hopefully, we're all playing in week 17 and bringing home some money.
Sir.
Kendall, let the folks know, where to find you, and obviously for those that are new, what's Underdog Best Ball, Fantasy Best Ball all about, man?
Oh, for sure. Kendall coming at you from the Fantasy Football Tavern. So Underdog, thank you for existing. By the way, Underdog.
Yes.
I personally love you. So Underdog really, they own Best Ball right now. One of the hot formats taking the fantasy football streets by storm. So the rules in its setup are very simple. For those that don't know, I know a lot of you do, but for those that don't, let's bring them into the community with open arms, right? So here's what we're doing. It's fun. It's simple. You draft your team like you would normally in a redraft league, but there's no season-long commitment. That means no waivers, no trades, and the system automatically sets your optimal lineup after all scores are set each week. So that's how you can legitimately have more than 100 drafts each year and have that be extremely feasible and honestly a really good time. Underdog runs several large and small tournaments each season with different stakes, as well as a lot of very small, I guess what you might call cash games or leagues, more small sets. So as low as $3 up to $4 and $5. There's the tournaments. One of them we're going to be doing today, the Puppy, that are very, very budget friendly. I can still win up to, like you mentioned, $100,000, all the way up to some of their flagship tournaments like the $25 entry Best Ball Mania, which is quite popular, $1.5 million going to first place. And there's even some higher stakes leagues if you want to get real crazy. Amen. Yeah, let's go. $500 and $1,000 leagues. If you're really in it, let's go the big dog and the mastiff.
The big dogs.
For sure. Gotta put it down, man. And of course, if you guys haven't heard already, I haven't been shy about saying it. I did have over 70 or about 70 leagues last year. I think it was 69 when I counted exactly. But one of those I was able to take to the final round. Ended up placing 42nd out of 70,464 people. Turned my $4 into just over $400. So not bad. Come up there. A lot of fun. So make sure you guys go check out Underdog Fantasy. And when you go sign up, man, make sure you guys use that promo code GetRight. Because when you do, not only are you going to get one of those free pick'em entries, you'll also get a 50% deposit match when you make your first deposit, up to $250 in bonus cash. So basically, you can deposit as little as $10 and get a $5 in bonus cash, or you can deposit the full 500, get the max 250 bonus cash in there. So what are you guys waiting for, man? Go sign up, download the app, visit underdogfantasy.com, and come hop in this draft with us.
Bro, I'm waiting for Underdog to reset my account. I mean, I can't get this 250 promo anymore. If you guys aren't signed up already, it's free money, man. Go, dude. Signed up, it was like $50, man. You got like 50 and you put 50, got 50. So go get you some extra $250 and win a tournament.
For sure, take it down, man. That's what you got to do. So we're gonna get this thing started, man. Anyone here in the chat that wants to get in with us, hopefully the three of us get in here at the same time. We're gonna count it down like we normally do. So we'll give you guys a second here to get in there, open up your apps. If you need to make your quick deposit, just drop me a chat, let me know, hey, hold on 1 second, and let me try to get in there. But if not, the three of us will get in. We're going to go over, some common, terminology that's kind of used in best ball, kind of explain that a little more for anyone who's new. We'll get into kind of strategy and things like that as we kind of see the draft unfold. So without any further ado, you guys ready to get this thing started or what?
Let's do it.
I know that's why you guys are here, and I know Kendall has an early morning, so we're going to get this thing started, guys. So let's do it. We're going to pull it up. We have the Puppy 2 here, again, $5 entry, as you can see here. So what we're going to do is we're going to count it down. We're going to go 3, 2, 1, and then we're going to hit the button, and everyone will get in. So without any further ado, let's get this thing started. So good luck to all of us here getting in. Make sure you have like your location if you're on your phone on, just so you don't get kicked out or anything like that. So let's get it going. We got Victorious in here. He's like our new #1 fan, man. Appreciate you coming out, supporting the stream, my guy. And he says it's a bit late for us East Coasters, so he's like you've been in that burning that midnight oil, Kindle. But that's what us degenerates do, man. Got to get in here and get this fantasy football stuff going. So here we go. So we'll count it down here. I know we're on a little bit of a delay, so we'll let you be that what it will. So we'll go 3, 2, 1, and click. So hopefully we'll all get in here. All right. So mine says waiting for 6 people.
I've got 8 more.
Oh, are we in 2 different ones? You guys both said 8.
I'm at 6.
I'm at
Yours
8.
says 6. Oh,
I'm at 5 now. How many are you at?
Okay, mine says 5. I'm at 5. I think we're all in.
Okay.
Let's go. See, that's the only good thing about doing it here a little late is we can all 3 kind of get in at the same time, because during the day, these things are filling very, very quickly. So we're down to 2 people now.
I think we're
1 person to go.
Yep, I think we're in the same one.
Here we go, man. I'm already getting juiced and excited about this.
Filled.
Here he is. Oh, I can't wait to see what pick we get. We're filled. So I think we're all there. I'm going to get this draft board going.
Yep.
106.
I'm at 107. Snipe.
Oh, got those. Oh, I don't like that at all.
Are we 5,
we're
6,
all
and
3
7?
back to back. 5, 6, and 7. I'm stuck in between you 2 guys. All right, we'll kiss my 100K behind.
I was looking for Santos. I didn't see K. Oh, so we are back to back.
We are literally 5, 6, and 7. This should be very, very interesting. I was like, as long as I'm away from Phil, Kendall and I kind of, there's enough difference there. He's willing to go some places I'm not willing to go, and vice versa. But Phil and I basically is going to be like almost probably the same team. One of us is going to have to zag. It'll probably have to be me, because when it comes back around, I'll have to react to that. So we'll see how that all goes. We're going to get started here in 10 seconds. Again, for those of you guys who don't know, we are doing an Underdog Best Ball draft. Make sure if you haven't signed up for Underdog yet, you go do it now. It's a lot of fun. Make sure you guys use that promo code GETRIGHT when you do, so you can get those deposit matches and the free pick'ems. So we're going to bring this draft board up for you guys. Let me get this thing going here. A little more normal view for those of us who do sleeper a lot. So we'll leave it on this for the I wish I had like a 4th screen going on here. Let me bring that up and that up. So this thing's already going. We're there. No one's waiting for me. we're getting going.
This is pretty chalky right now, man. I don't know. I mean, I've done a ton of best ball drafts. I know you guys have too, and I think really when you start to get into like rounds 4, through the 10th round, that's where you kind of have an opportunity to really get different. I know Kendall and I just did a show the other day talking about Dynasty, of course, but talking about values in rounds 4, 5, and 6 of ADP. And this draft right now, pretty heavy chalk coming off the board, 1 through 4 picks, 1 through 5 picks.
Yeah, actually, one of the interesting ones with our Mr. Kendall here, hitting that Bijan Robinson a little early at pick 105. So decides to pass up on the wide receiver. And AJ Brown, man, at the 107. And we're letting Justin Jefferson fall here. So we'll see. We got Colin here saying my mic is static. So I tried to just do a quick little readjustment. So let me know if I'm good. Again there, Kyle. I appreciate that. Make sure you guys always let us know if our sound check isn't quite there, because we do want to put good stuff out to you. Do I sound okay to you guys right now?
I thought it was my headphones, so I was just going to let it be. But yeah, it's a little staticky.
It's a little bit.
Okay.
It's almost you got like a tiny little skip delay in there.
All right. Maybe I'll have to pop out and pop back in. I'll let you guys take over the show for a second here. Let me go get that, because I don't want that going on the whole show.
Yeah,
so let me pop out. Yeah, let me go back. I'll be back.
Man.
I'll be paying attention though.
We'll be here after.
I'll take whoever you want anyway, so don't worry about it. I'm coming around first here after the turn. So
this is brutal.
Yeah, it's gonna be
all right,
fun.
man.
And we're all three in the middle too. So I saw a comment actually here, and I don't have control of the comments tonight because Rasta is hosting, but Victorious in the comments here saying being in the middle at 6, you're done for. And I'll be honest, man, I don't know that we're done for. I'd like to be a little more positive than that, but I will tell you, being in the middle is a very difficult position to draft, right? You're not close to each of the turns. You're really potentially having to, really reach at certain rounds because there's guys that just won't get back to you. So, Kendall, do you find a certain spot in the draft where you feel really excited when you see your number come up? Where do you really like to draft from in these best ball drafts?
Yeah, actually, I think I'm I seeing Vike's newest comment. I mean, I guess it's a compliment because he thinks being in the middle he's getting screwed because he's between me and you, and I could not be in more agreement of that. If I think our draft skills are where they're at, and we don't only think a thing. I think you and Rasta tend to think very closely in terms of how you like to draft, but player evaluations we're all very similar. So that does mean that from both sides, if there's a clear value, I get it and you get it, and Rasta doesn't. So yeah, I do kind of agree that he does not get any sort of safe quarter. So that's rough. My favorite spot to draft is at the 6th spot, though. 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, right along there. 8's fine too. I just don't want to be at a turn. I want to be in the middle. The way I draft, generally, if you're in the middle, it's better if you are a let value fall to you. If you can be a little more flexible, you like a few different builds, and you can make that work. But I tend to be a value guy. I'm a little less super loyal. I mean, I'm definitely a dynasty player, so when it comes to value, that obviously translates to the dynasty game. But even in the best ball, I'm open for, hey, this is a stack that falls to me that doesn't usually. So I still tend to be a value based drafter. My only hiccup is I just want to be in a spot where I can go some form of hero RB.
Well, I mean, look, you took Bijan maybe just slightly ahead of ADP, and I don't have anybody that says, oh, man, Bijan Robinson's never going to be a bad pick. You know what I mean? Like, there's just no spot in the draft where I'm going to be upset by taking him. So, the hero RB, you can see Kendall starting here with Bijan Robinson, Rasta starting his build with Amon-Ra and JT, and then I'm starting my build with AJ Brown and Saquon Barkley. So,
which you sniped for me, by the way.
Well, I knew what was going to happen. So now I have a feeling I know what will happen in round 3 coming back, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm with you, Kendall. I think in best ball, similar to Dynasty, actually, because I know all three of us, tend to heavily focus our shows on Dynasty. I think in best ball, a hero RB is a great approach because you're looking for ceiling performances. So why not give yourself a chance at somebody who's probably going to finish in the top 4, maybe top 5 of the league? Obviously, somebody who's going to have a opportunity to be the overall RB1, because wide receivers can score on certain weeks, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, you're going to end up stacking a bunch of late round running backs anyway.
My bad, Gator. My bad. He's been joining Frank and I the last couple weeks. Gator over at Club Fantasy, man. Appreciate you.
Have you not introduced us yet, bro? Me,
I was gonna say, hey, I know he's down to. I know he's down to come on, probably for sure. But he probably just got done with his show. Pops on over here right after. He's a degenerate just like us, man. Make sure you guys go check out Club Fantasy. I got to make sure I get their link down in our description. Big time friends of Get Right Fantasy over here, man. See, the love's all there, my guy. I had to bring my guys in. Frank's not here today. He's out in Nebraska, probably doing some fishing or something going on over there. Shout out to our boy Frank. So I brought in, called up the guys here with Kendall and Phil. But we'll get you back on again, Gate. You know that for sure, man. We'll see what's going on next Monday with you, and we'll get you guys on these guys shows too, man. So Gator's a great guy, man. Knows his stuff, and I love what he's doing over there at Club Fantasy. So, what else we got going on here, man? What are you guys thinking for this pick coming up here? Give me some insight, Kendall, so I know where I could go. Give me an extra 30 seconds here.
Ooh, I think this is one of those great, such a great situation where like my hometown boys hit at a place in ADP where I can draft them and feel great. Oh,
please do, because I have another pick right there. We go.
God,
all right,
good.
I like that.
I gotta be. I was thinking. I go hero RB because I hate drafting so many running backs. There's just so many I'm very, very off of. I'm a Notre Dame guy though, so Kyron in redraft is still a dude for me, but the injury scares are real for me. Cooper Kupp, I was seriously considering there. I'll throw it out there. I was very
great best ball pick.
Yeah, I
took Hurts right now.
He's getting slept on in best ball.
I had to. I with what I've got going on with my build, I've seen and done so many of these underdog drafts. Hurts is going at the 3-4 turn, and I'll be honest. There's just I don't know.
Oh, you got triple Philly. You got the triple Philly stack.
Yeah, I was going to say I should have paid attention to that a little more.
I had to get the Super Eagle stack going. So yeah, man, I got Super Eagles here. And look, it's an expensive build. You know what I mean? Like it's I mean, a roster for you with Amon-Ra. Obviously, for those that don't know, we're going to talk a little bit about stacking here in a second. But stacking basically referring to grabbing a quarterback with his number one pass catcher, either the tight end, if it's a Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews, or obviously in this case a wide receiver. So for you, I think one of the best stacks that I think is most affordable is that Jared Goff Amon-Ra stack. You can easily grab Goff late in the draft and still have a guy with QB1 upside and fill your roster with scoring performances from wide receivers and running backs. The Eagle stack's expensive, but I'm also really excited. I know I said this on my show last week. I'm excited about what Kellen Moore is going to bring to the Eagles offense. So in a best ball format, to grab AJ Brown, Saquon Barkley, and fill that quarterback with Jalen Hurts, especially in 4-point, where I'm going to get the rushing upside, it's expensive, but I'm excited about it.
For sure. And as you guys saw on the screen, I was kind of scrolling down there to see Jared Goff's ADP about 125 right now. My pick in that round, which is going to be round 11.
Yeah,
which is not bad for your QB1 to have stacked with your wide receiver 1.
You're gonna have competition.
Going to be pick 126. So
Gibbs, Laporta,
and that's what I was going to say. So I may end up having to go around early.
You may have to go around early. Yep.
Exactly, and those are the kind of things you want to look at. Yeah, Fernie Way right here. He just grabbed Laporta. So I'll have to kind of figure out. So if that's 310, so that's my opposite round. So that means it's going to the right. So he's after me at 310. So at least I'll have a stack ahead, but I don't know where did Gibbs go. I got to find out where that is. And again, this is all the stuff that you guys got to pay attention to. So he has that Gibbs Laporta. So he's definitely going to be going after Goff.
Definitely going to go after Goff hard. Yeah,
so
for sure.
We'll see what happens there. Who's going to get him? I was hoping I didn't really pay attention to your team there, Phil. I was hoping I can maybe get that Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts stack. Because you can usually get Hurts about that mid-round 4. Mm-hmm. Sometimes he'll squeeze in around 5, but we just saw, Josh Allen go here at pick 36.
Kyron.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I've been seeing the top quarterbacks go with the 3-4 turn. And, I think when you get into seasoned, best ball players, they know what stacking is, but that doesn't mean that the rest of the field does, or the rest of the field's just grabbing the best guys they can. So, unfortunately, I've been sniped a handful of times on stacks that I'm like, oh, I should be able to afford this guy at such and such a round at such and such a price. And so that's why I took Jalen Hurts. Did I want to take him there? No. Obviously, would rather have a better wide receiver and then take a different player here. But to me, I am on the clock here. To me, it's worth it to reach around early and say, you know what, I've got my Super Eagle stack, because that's really what's going to end up winning best ball tournaments.
For sure. And depending on who you grab here, yep, that's what I was going to go with. Try to build in that backdoor Burrow stack, just in case. See if I can get any correlation there. So I think what I'll do here is maybe I'll pivot and try to go. I'll try to go Lamar Andrews here and see if I can maybe get that stat going.
Yeah.
And then basically I'm smashing wide receiver after that. I'm pretty much done with anything not wide receiver if I get Andrews in this next round.
So Vike bringing up a really cool point, right? Is best ball different? You want to have the running back on top of the quarterback wide receiver stack. I don't mind it as much. I don't normally, if this is a dynasty format, I wouldn't want to have 3 of the same team, regardless of the offense, just simply because they can't score on the same play. But in a best ball format where it's weekly scoring, like I'll use my team as an example. You guys know I don't normally talk about my teams, but in this case, it is a good example because of the stacking. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley is going to catch passes from Jalen Hurts. That's the
key. Yep.
Right. And that's the key, is like Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta, Jared Goff on that team. I don't know what is that team Fenny or whatever, but like that would be a phenomenal stack to have, because it's going to increase the value of the quarterback while also giving you the points that you need for the running backs, in this half PPR format. So, it's interesting because I think like you see right next to Kendall there, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce stacked up. That's a phenomenal stack to have. So yeah, I think Vike, to be kind of answer your question directly, I don't mind buying into really high scoring offenses because of the format.
Right. And just to kind of go on that, did you guys kind of go into the full stacking? I know you kind of read it as I was getting my sound fix, which again, shout out to Kyle for letting me know. Those are real friends that let you know how you sound. You got a booger or something in your nose. Those are the people you want to keep around. So as far as stacking goes, basically in regards to like stacking QB wide receiver versus QB running back, basically when you go with that QB running back stack, it decreases the volatility because they kind of cannibalize each other. So most likely they're not both going to go off, but you'll most likely get all the yards and touchdowns for that team that week. So ideally you do want to stack with those patch catching running backs. The guys like you talked about, Gibbs, of course, CMC, Kamara, Bijan. Those guys who are basically like wide receivers that are also getting that volume running back work as well. Stacking, Geno with Ken Walker's not really going to do anything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, it really, really matters on who you're going for there. And I did get sniped for all my tight ends right away. Nasty spot here for wide receiver. Probably going to lean Jaden Reed on this one. I don't want to take another running back here, which I do have Cook rated higher than Reed right now, but just based on this, I got to go with Jalen Reed. So
of course you do, because that's exactly who I was hoping would fall to me. So appreciate that. Appreciate you very much.
Well, at first when I saw Mark Andrews not in my queue, I assumed it was Kendall that grabbed him, but he went Kincaid instead.
I'm going to do something here I don't do, and Kendall knows this. This is a player that I'm very, very down on, but I'm going to draft him here in best ball because I believe his format is. I believe his skill set is perfect for best ball. So I am not a big Xavier Worthy truther when it comes to Dynasty. I don't think he's going to have a tremendous season this rookie year, and to be honest, I think he's going to struggle in a lot of different coverages. I think what he is going to do is he's going to catch big, long Patrick Mahomes bomb touchdowns. And in a best ball format, when I'm looking for ceiling performances and I don't have to make a sit-start decision on a weekly basis, that's exactly the kind of player that I'm looking for, right? We all know Gabe Davis is not a player we love or want to have on our team. Gabe Davis is a fantastic best ball player and to have, because you can get 3 for 13 4 weeks in a row, and then he goes off for 4 for 152 and 2. And that's going to win you a week. So I like Xavier Worthy a lot in best ball for what I think his skill set lends, more so than I would like him in a redraft or a dynasty format. You guys feel similarly? You guys feel different? Because I know we've all had a little different opinion on Worthy.
Go ahead, Kendall.
Yeah, I agree in that particular offense. Rookie year, we don't know the role he's going to carve out. Patrick Mahomes still has his number one wide receiver technically at tight end, right? So the number one pass catcher is kind of there. He's been known, even with kind of go-to number ones, he still spreads the ball around better than most quarterbacks I've seen successfully. So I think it's a situation where, yeah, it's a great best ball play because he's going to score his points. He's got an excellent deep ball. He has too many other offensive weapons that are going to strain coverages. I know Andy Reid as a play caller is oftentimes looking for those cheap touchdowns because we know in the modern NFL offense, things can happen, and being able to get a cheap touchdown where you don't have to do 4 or 5 more plays is kind of a big deal. And Chiefs have been fantastic at that for many, many years. So I think Worthy is going to be, I think what's overlooked is it's not just those long touchdowns. It's going to be schemed up to where even in like the mid range, he can be a little bit of Jaden Reed. I think there's going to be some end arounds. I think there's going to be, some gadget plays like that. I mean, when you see what they were able to do in the Super Bowl with those two kind of gadgety plays for a wide receiver that none of us really believe in and is super buried, but just has a very particular skill set, right? I think we can see a lot of that for Xavier Worthy this upcoming year, especially since he's going to be able to have those more nuanced plays available to him later in the season because he's going to move up the depth chart so early in the season. I think he's going to be forced into the playbook and probably never leave. But I agree, he's going to have some of those very down games in redraft where it's just not target dense enough to make a difference in a PPR league every single game. But he's perfect for best ball when you get to bench him every time you're supposed to, without flaw. So that's a nice spot to be in.
Very nice. I thought you were taking Addison there from me.
So actually it's funny because I was going to take him. And then I looked and I thought to myself, again, it's best ball. So you kind of have to reframe your thinking a little bit. There is a tier break coming up at running back. And so I like Alvin Kamara. His pass catching is great, and that's what you want in a best ball format. I don't know what New Orleans' offense is going to look like this season. There's a lot more motion that's coming. Clint Kubiak's a new offensive coordinator. It's still a Derek Carr issue for me, whereas Rachaad White, yes, Dave Canales is gone. Yes, the Buccaneers are old, but it's best ball. I'm not drafting for Dynasty format for the next 2 to 3 years. I'm drafting for one season. And while I think Bucky Irving's going to have some value, the goal line work is going to go to Rachaad White. It should go to Rachaad White. And I'm searching for touchdowns in this offense. Right. And my thought, if I take an Addison there, was, can I get Monty coming back? Because again, high scoring offense, God forbid anything happens to Gibbs, then we know we've got a solid RB2 who becomes an RB1 there in Detroit. But I don't know that Monty will get back to me. So it's just the safety of, look, I'm looking for volume and I'm looking for touchdowns, because volume and touchdowns in best ball is what's going to help me to get a ton of points and hopefully win weeks and advance to the playoffs.
Absolutely. And speaking of playoffs, one big thing, of course, you'll hear us start saying here as we start getting into these later rounds is that correlation. So, basically in the simplest terms, correlation just means, if two things are happening, they're kind of happening against one another, which, kind of pump up the other one, or vice versa. If things are going bad, most likely going to be bad for the other one as well. So not only do you have to worry about, week 17 correlation, which everyone will hear about because you're trying to get the most upside for that week 17. So you're looking at, that Detroit San Francisco matchup, that Dallas Philly matchup, which Phil's all over right now with that Philly stack. You have Miami, which has some nice correlation, not only week 17 with Cleveland, but just throughout the playoffs, weeks 15, 16, and 17 as well. They're almost top 5, highest scoring games in those weeks. Arizona Rams, you got Houston that has some nice playoff correlation as well. Green Bay, which is why you kind of see me going that route as well. So those are just, some of the things that, you're going to be looking at when you're making these picks as well, which also brings us, that bring back conversation. So bringing it back basically kind of started originally with DFS, but basically all it means is, if you do have that, let's say that I end up getting this Amon-Ra St. Brown and Goff stack, if I was able to get like Debo or Ayuk or someone like that, I could have been looking at, or even Kittle, to kind of bring it back in that game if it's kind of thought to be one of the highest scoring games in week 17, and that's what you're chasing. If you're not first, you're last in best ball. So you should always be assuming upside. It's all about risk. First or last in this situation. What do you guys think about that?
I think Ricky Bobby would be very proud of you.
I like it. I think I'm going to go Christian Watson here. Go Reed and Watson, which means I'd probably have to
Oh, you
queue up
love
some
him, right
Jordan
back.
Love here
I
as
was gonna say
well.
Jordan Love.
Yeah, so there we go. Let's just go Christian Watson. And
Yeah, sorry to
then
take Monty
that
from you, man, but he's literally hanging on my wall right behind me. What kind of guy would I be if I didn't take my dude?
That's why I
There
didn't
you
take
go.
him. I didn't think he'd get back to me, and I'm going to do something against my own brand that I don't normally do very often. So
See,
Rasta
we
knows
start
what
playing
that
for
means.
money. Here we go.
I know what he's
So
doing.
I'm actually going to take the correlation of that Dallas
Hey,
Philly, and I'm going to go
there
grab
you
Jake
go.
Ferguson here.
Yeah.
Almost right on cue.
For those that don't know or haven't heard me on my shows or haven't heard me on the main show here, I'm very much a late tight end drafter. That's where I prefer to get the value of the running back and the wide receiver earlier and kind of load up those higher scoring positions. But this is best ball, and I need Jake Ferguson for correlation against the Eagles, but I also think that he's very seriously the number 2 pass catching option in that offense behind CeeDee Lamb right now. So I think it could be for a season long value. I think Jake Ferguson is one of those guys that people are sleeping on that could have top 5 tight end potential at the end of the season. I think that's very much in the range of outcomes for him.
Absolutely. I like the pick there. I like it because I think there's a teardrop after that.
Yeah,
as far as here in redraft. So we don't know what's going to happen with Njoku. You got Bauer still on the board. You got Goddard. Then you got Schultz, which, just so many mouths over there. You don't know when he may pop off. So you don't want. I mean, I've personally been kind of staying away from that Goddard, Schultz, Fairmouth tier. Then you got like Komet. I like to get down in here past all that. Your Hunter Henrys, your Ottens, your Conklin, who's flying up. I swear to God, the Tyler Conklin ADP rise is because of me.
I'm starting to fall on him. I got to be honest. I was crazy on him, and I've just started to fall on him out of absolutely nowhere.
Oh well, tell me why. Because I'm so invested. 64%.
My thing on Conklin is that I loved last year that he was just such a safe, like 5 for 50, 6 for 50, that type of like stock tight end. But at the late rounds you were getting him, it was kind of a crazy value. What I'm not loving about him is I'm just finding that I love so many weapons in their offense where I just can't project Conklin for enough volume. Where if I'm on Conklin, it's very difficult for me to also be on other players. I don't mind. I don't want to take that Conklin in the same frame as any other Jet. If I'm taking him, it's because I have 0 Jets and I'm basically banking on a MetLife injury, which is probably one of the more common things you can bank on, right? That's where the Conklin thing comes in for me. But I'm fading on him because if everyone's healthy, and it happens more often than not, even though it doesn't seem like it, I think he really falls too far down in the overall target share. Rodgers does love his tight ends, but I'm just saying I've lowered him in my rankings a little bit and started to include a few more shares of Noah Fant and Cade Otton as opposed to him, just to balance it out a little bit, because I do feel like Mike Williams in MetLife, like there's no way he stays healthy for 5 minutes, right?
Right.
But
I like the MetLife
just
edition
in case something crazy happens.
Mike Williams could be playing bubble soccer and he wouldn't be healthy. You know what I mean? Like it's just his body, man.
Gosh, it sucks.
I left Jordan Love there for you. I didn't have a reason to
I appreciate
take him,
that.
I mean, I had T. Higgins, and I wouldn't normally take a second quarterback this early, but I didn't love the wide receivers in this range. Honestly, I think a lot of them will get back to me because this is a big running back pocket that we're kind of sitting in right here in this 8th round. I did read my own screen correctly. And I've done enough of these now. I kind of know how the board falls. So I knew this big running back pocket was coming up.
It's coming.
Yeah. So I think there'll be some receivers that come back to us here on the turn. And this is where we can really start to find some value.
For sure. Yeah. And that's why, it's so important to get that 5th wide receiver kind of before the 7th round. Kind of the history will show you the most successful best ball teams. You're drafting those. Wide receivers, you're getting at least 5 within, round 7 or round 8, depending on how else you go. Obviously, going with a hero RB build for me. Obviously, once I took the unstacked Lamar and missed on the Andrew stack, I defaulted and went with the Jordan Love stack with Reed and Watson. So basically, that eliminates Goff. So I'm just basically giving Finwee or whoever that was that has that other stack going. I'm done at quarterback at this point. I've invested 2 high picks, so I'm only going with the 2 QB build. Obviously missed out on that elite tight end, so that means I'm most likely having to go 3 tight ends in this build. I'm happy with 8 wide receivers, and then basically I'm just snatching running backs all in between all that. So I wouldn't be surprised if I kind of go with probably 3 or 4 straight running backs in my next 3 or 4 picks, while everyone else is filling out their 1Z positions and trying to fight over these other wide receivers that are here.
Yeah, and it's a really good point that you bring up, right? Because I didn't do it. I didn't follow my own rules. Like I said, I was kind of breaking my own rules and going off brand a little bit tonight. But the statistics, Rasta, you're absolutely right, will show that the 4th wide receiver before the 7th round and your 5th before pick 100 is really what's going to have the highest correlation when it comes to advance rates to the playoffs. So I broke my own rules. I didn't do that, but simply because I went QB early and I went with the heavy Super Eagles stack. Obviously, exactly what I thought would happen, exactly who I thought would get back to me. I'm very pleased with that. So
there you go.
Yeah, I figured he would get back to me. So happy to take Tyler Lockett there, because again, age in this format doesn't really matter. Sure, JSN from a dynasty perspective, we love JSN. We think he's going to be great, but Tyler Lockett's under contract. He's still the guy. Mike McDonald's got a new offense coming in. They're going to run a very similar offense to what the University of Washington ran, which is a more, obviously we saw Penix last season, lead college football in air yards. So I think at the end of the day, you are still going to see, hopefully, Geno make some throws.
There it is. And Victorious was asking you when you're targeting Caleb, but I assume he went off the board because he said, never mind.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, ideally, I would have loved Jaden Daniels in 9, Caleb in 10, but with like the hyper stack I'm going at, it's too greedy to take Jaden in a larger field tourney here. As perfect as that would be, I don't mind if I miss out on Jaden and end up with one of the other quarterbacks. I think that like that last round of like the QB1, QB2 kind of like turn when you look at like redraft, that seems pretty deep this year to me, where like Trevor Lawrence is like a borderline, back end QB1, QB2, Tua, Herbert. They're all kind of these back ends. So like in redraft, I think I might just like take a quarterback the very, very, very last round. What I'm finding is in best ball, I'm definitely liking the fact that this year compared to previous years, I am liking such a larger range of mid-round quarterback that I can keep waiting and I can double tap when need, but there's enough people late where I can go 3 QB relatively easily by just starting in the mid rounds and grabbing 2 of my favorite targets late, because I have 3 to 4 late targets. More difficult in previous years when I only had 1 or 2 late round targets and had to either just go QB early and be set or get into some weird spots. The last couple of very successful years I had in best ball have been 3 QB builds with like Daniel Jones as a late QB, which has hit before, or things along those lines. This year, I think I'm still liking that strategy as well. But I'm kind of going like later great with QB. I'm either going super, super early, which isn't as early as it normally is, or I'm going extraordinarily late, because that mid round, while it is available, is also very middling, and it kind of feels great to be the last guy to take a quarterback than the first in the mid round, because you end up taking one like a round and a half before the last of the tier, and you're like, I think it's the same player, and you're kind of, have about a 2-round range. So I don't know, that's QB is interesting for me. Like I would love to have one of the top 5-6 QBs in the top 5 rounds, but I'm probably waiting until round 5. I'm not even taking many round 4 quarterbacks unless it's at a pretty decent value for Allen, or you had the super stack with Hurts, so I can see how that makes sense. But that's how I'm kind of doing quarterback this year.
I love it, because I think what's really interesting is the correlation of your draft position obviously does determine which quarterbacks you can target and stack, right? So to me, you're paying a 3rd-round pick almost guaranteed for Josh Allen. You're paying a 4th-round pick for Mahomes. I obviously got Hurts in the 3rd. Had I played the ADP game, he might have got back to me, but he probably would have gone early in the 4th, regardless of whether he got back to me or not. So you're still paying a 4th-rounder for Jalen Hurts. I love the ability to grab Jordan Love in the 8th and stack. I love the ability to get Caleb Williams in 9 or Jaden Daniels in 9. if my board is right, and I believe it is, Jared Goff is still on the board. So we're getting into the double digit rounds here, where Jared Goff, Amon-Ra is my favorite stack in best ball this season because of the correlation for ceiling performances in games from both of those players. But again, you have to be in certain draft positions in the board to be able to actually get those players without reaching, a full round ahead of ADP. So yeah, it's always really interesting where guys are. But Kendall, I love your your thoughts on getting good value at a quarterback position, and like you said, adding a third one. If you don't have those Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, type ceilings.
Yeah, and especially since we know Kendall typically gets that elite tight end as well, which means you don't usually have to go with 3. You can go with the 2 tight end build.
Yep.
You have your main stud, get a just nice, decent guy kind of to back him up, and just obviously assume health and volume and scoring from your main guy, which will allow you have that 3 quarterback build.
That's particular to like, only an 18 round though. I gotta say, in 20 rounds, I like the 3 tight end build a lot more. In 18 round, I tend to like the 2 tight end, 2 quarterback. Like I'm gonna have one of the two. I'm gonna have 5 tight ends / quarterbacks when you cut it down to 18. In 20 round, I love the ability that in one of those rounds I'm taking a late flyer at tight end for the most part. It's only in the 18 round where I like the early tight end, just because I think tight end, for me, the early tight ends are at a slight value, because the mid-range tight ends, I think when I look at ADP, they're a little bit higher than I would like them to be. So when it comes to like letting like an Evan Ingram or an Njoku fall, they're just being drafted too early, in my opinion. And I would rather just take what I feel to be more of an elite ceiling. But again, I just want to make that point that that's 18 round specifically. In 20 round, I would much rather go 3 tight end and go late.
Completely agree. I think one of the other things that's really
it's usually super flex too on those 20 rounders, just so people know there's not like a 20 round 1 QB here on Underdog, at least. Maybe if it's just in best ball league somewhere else, but here on Underdog, it's 18 rounds for 1 QB and 20 for your super flex. So adjust accordingly. Go ahead, Phil. Sorry to cut you off.
Well, no, you're fine. I was just going to say, I think one of the interesting things about the position is, were you targeting Justin Herbert?
I wanted Ford. It was Kramer that actually got me. Not even
I wanted Ford in my Chase Brown pick, but I timed out and my queue was jacked up. Actually, I think Ford is a stupid value, and I meant to take him at 116.
Yeah,
I was really hoping. I almost took him last round actually over Tajay. But we'll see.
One camp report that says Nick Chubb's behind schedule and he jumps 2 rounds.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm trying to get as much of him as I can right now.
Well, boys, this is going to be the extra point off-brand hour for Phil here, because I'm drafting players I don't like in Dynasty.
Bring on Brandon Cooks. Oh, okay, Gabe Davis. No, that's a good pick. That's a good best.
But this again, it's best ball. You have to reshape kind of your thought process here, because I don't want Gabe Davis on my Dynasty roster. I don't want a Super Eagles stack on my Dynasty roster. So at the end of the day, I'm looking for ceiling performances. And look, Gabe Davis, if he gives me 4 scoring weeks, that's exactly what I'm drafting him to do. So
exactly.
Yeah, very, very excited about that. So, sorry, the point I was going to make earlier was, about the tight end position, to kind of go back what Kendall was saying. There's guys that you just don't want to have in certain formats. In best ball, it's okay, because after the top 3 or 4 tight ends, everybody's got a chance to be tight end 5 through 10. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many guys that could easily finish as a quote unquote tight end 1. And while that's not good, in best ball, it's fantastic, because that's what you're after, right? So to me, that's not the worst strategy, to grab a middling tight end. Pat Freiermuth, who's still on the board. You're not going to be excited about Pat Freiermuth in your weekly lineups that you have to set. You're not going to target him unless it's a great matchup in your DFS lineups. But in best ball, again, if you're looking for 3 to 4 scoring weeks, especially if you've got a hero tight end build, grab one guy in the middle round and go with 2 tight ends, right? Or grab 3 of those, as Kendall was saying, 3 of those kind of middle guys. I'm going to come back on that pick in just a second, because that's a great value. That's somebody I was targeting to come back to me, TJ Hawkinson there in the 12. He's the forgotten man right now. He's the forgotten man.
Especially in best ball, when you're trying to maximize for weeks 15, 16, 17, that's a play you can go with there.
Yep.
Not so much in redraft.
No, not in redraft. I mean, he could miss the first half of the season.
This is a fun one. We got a 0 QB build over here. Nice value.
Yeah,
I've been doing that a lot too. I don't know how you guys feel. I've been doing a lot of like 0 QB. I mop up value late at QB. There's like an interesting strategy where you can legitimately get Russell Wilson, JJ McCarthy, Daniel Jones, and Drake May all for basically nothing. In like the 14th through 17th or 18th rounds. I've tested it out once or twice where I'm basically taking at least 3, legitimately sometimes 4. I'm trying to keep it to 3 quarterbacks. I think the correlation kind of says that even if you're going super late, 3 QBs is better than 4. But the 3 super late QBs this year, I've really liked it. With like one anchor that I really believe in, like a Matt Stafford or a Kirk Cousins as like an anchor, and then picking up like Rodgers, Levis, Daniel Jones, something along those lines. Basically fading like a Drake May because he won't start the whole season, fading a JJ because he won't start the whole season, but taking 3 guys who will start the whole season. I have quite enjoyed that build.
And look,
You're on the clock, Kendall, by the way.
Taking Matt Stafford is a great best ball pick, right? Like Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua stacked with Matt Stafford. Again, a very, very cheap, inexpensive stack that you can get. And Stafford's going to finish as a QB2. I mean,
I think he's going to finish as a QB1.
If not a back end one. Yeah.
I was going to say,
I'd see him 10, 11, 12.
There's never been a QB
those
in
touchdowns
history
up.
that has 2 like 1,000-yard wide receivers. I don't see a world where he doesn't have 2,000-yard wide receivers. I just think he's going to sneak into that like QB 8 through 10 and be like kind of a sneaky value.
So there's your, I mean, like, look, there's your ceiling and your floor built into the price right there, and you're not paying for it. You're basically grabbing him because nobody else is targeting Stafford unless you have one of the Rams receivers, right? So they don't have a tight end right now. So, I think for me, that's a great value. It's a great guy to target.
No love for Parkinson over there, or who was it, Brandon Allen or something like that? Who's that other guy?
No, Braylon Allen's the running back for the Jets. Yeah, somebody Allen, but yes.
Got Dynasty on the brains though.
Yeah, I got Dynasty all over the brain. Yeah. No, I think actually I just picked up Colby Parkinson the other day, actually, as like I might need you for the first month kind of a tight end. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But no, man, I think Puka and Cooper Kupp, and assuming Kyron's health, which is always questionable, Ty Chandler's a good pick.
Yeah, I was like, ooh. He was on the top of my board. I was like,
it was between him and Eckler in my last round.
Okay.
I went Eckler just because of the pass catching upside, and I don't always believe in Brian Robinson. So we'll Anthony Lynn is the running backs coach there in Washington. And for those that don't remember, Anthony Lynn loves him some Austin Eckler. So I'm not entirely sure that Brian Robinson's going to get the bell cow row that people think, and Austin Eckler has been relegated to third down. It could be that way, but I'm not convinced yet. We'll see.
Yeah. The thing you got to worry about is if Washington's trailing a lot, because that's what we saw last year between Brian Robinson and Gibson. Brian Robinson was basically literally a top 5 running back every week that Washington was close in a game to be able to keep him on the field. But if they got behind early, it was basically the Antonio Gibson show, and he was running back 37 or later.
Russell, can you scroll down a little bit?
Oh yeah, no, good call.
There.
Glad someone's watching it. Yeah,
it's so nice. We've got people like they're like watching, man. Victorious is into it.
Love it, man.
I'm going like current, former, and like future Bears. I'm even drafting Mooney just because.
Wow, Mooney.
I got Monty.
Mooney sighting.
I got Mooney. If I can get Cedric Benson in the 18th, I might.
It all just comes together there with little Cedric Benson.
Man, I was really, really hoping that Jermaine Burton. I didn't think he would, but with my Bengals correlation there,
that would have been nice.
I have Higgins and Burrow, so I'm fine. But I was really hoping that he'd make it back to get a Super Bengals and Super Eagles stack. So
yeah,
I kind of had to go Bateman there to just get a little Lamar stack. I don't mind Lamar unstacked, obviously being 4-point passing touchdown. Got a rushing quarterback guy who could finish, top 5 or even QB1 overall.
So
But
let me
to get
ask
the
you guys
Bateman hype
this.
there, but I still got a Devontae Walker queued up there as well. Just
I was going to say Tez Walker's when I have Lamar, Tez Walker's like my 16th, 17th round. Like I'm going to make sure I grab him every time. I want to ask you guys this really quickly because obviously we all want to stack, but it just doesn't always work out that way. Or maybe you're not double stacked. In this case, like some of our teams are here. Who are your favorite quarterbacks to play naked?
Anthony Richardson.
Yeah. That's the
he's
easy
one.
That's the
Basically
easy
your
one.
rushing quarterbacks. Your Anthony
If he
Richardson,
throws
your
10 passes, I'm
Kyler's.
very happy with it.
Yeah. Your Kyler, Jaden Daniels is a guy you could potentially take unstack there as well. Obviously, Lamar, Jalen Hurts. But again, with Hurts, you should be able to pretty much grab a stack, even if it's with Goddard late. Like you should be able to get something there. He shouldn't have to go totally naked.
Yep, right, exactly.
And again, same thing with like Lamar. Like as soon as I grab Lamar early, trying to go for that Lamar Andrews stack, literally Tez and Bateman were in my queue for a route this time.
Sure.
I feel like I'm okay with some like later guys unstacked. Like I love Stafford. Stafford's just one of my favorite QBs this year, but oftentimes, his top end wide receivers are fairly in demand. It's hard to stack them sometimes. Because if you're looking for a value at a position and not reaching for it, it's going to be difficult. But Stafford's probably one of my more favorite unstacked players, just because I do like that. I don't know what days it's going to be Tua or what days it's going to be Cup, but I think Stafford's going to generally be pretty on. I've been liking him as a later round, just a QB3 that I can trust quite a bit. I'm okay with unstacked Jordan Love too. For the record, I think Jordan Love is going to have some games where he throws it like on a Patrick Mahomes, where it's 5 targets to 7 different people. And it's just one of those, his optimal game is oftentimes better unstacked because no one player is going to have a big game with the way they have so many offensive weapons. I like Love as my favorite early round unstacked.
Yeah, he was going to be mine. And I think actually what's interesting about Love is you can stack him with Kraft or with Musgrave late on. So even if you miss out on the Green Bay wide receivers, or you're just saying, look, I'll take Love because I know the passing volume and the safety is going to be there for him. But
3 touchdown games. Yeah,
exactly. It may not be Christian Watson's week, or it may not be, Dontavian Wig. Like there's too many mouths to feed. Obviously Love's the player you want in Green Bay. But I've found actually the couple stacks that I do have and the shares I do have of Jordan Love, I've actually been stacking him late on with Kraft and Musgrave to kind of get at least a little correlation and feeling good, or Dontavian Wicks late, but feeling good about that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Wicks or Dobbs, you can usually still kind of target late. Yeah. Will has a good question here. He says, why stack seems like added risk for no reward. We did kind of talk about this in the beginning, but we'll definitely bring it back here. But basically, we talked about, basically what stacking is. It's there to increase your lineup volatility or decrease lineup volatility. So if you're trying to win a big tournament like this, going against thousands of other people, not just the 11 other people in your league, like you would do for normal redraft or something like that, there's going to be overlap across rosters. So the only way to win that is you need to be able to maximize that weekly upside. And so stacking is basically the best way and arguably the only way to achieve that. Because when you don't have the stack, every time that your guy does something well, it's benefiting another team too. And every time you do have the stack and your QB throws a touchdown to your wide receiver, you're tied in, you're actually gaining on everybody else that you're going up against. So again, it's really the only way, and it's been proven that if you're taking down a big time tournament like this, you have to be stacking.
So what if everyone stacks? So there's 3 ways to look at it, right? One way is overall season outcomes. If you pick a quarterback who you think, quarterbacks tend to do better if they're on a great offense, right? Or if they make their offense great, or vice versa, right? And overall offensive ecosystem is going to carry over into the skill positions. So just picking like, hey, I'm betting that this quarterback finishes really higher than he's supposed to, right? Because that's what every pick is supposed to be for you. So if your quarterback finishes above where he's supposed to, and their offensive output is above where they're supposed to, adding the wide receiver, grabbing the quarterback and wide receiver stack is saying that I am placing a bet on this offense. When my bet pays off, right, it's because I'm drafting people on an offense that's underrated. And so you want additional tickets, because it's not about it's not redraft, right? It's more about like you're going all in on a poker hand on the flop. There's still a turn in a river when it comes to best ball. You don't have the ability to make as many moves and decisions. It's just the chips are in. And so you want to maximize your return. Stacking does that. So that's the overall like season long output. I have to make a pick here. Let's go with something crazy.
Well, now, while you're making a pick here, I think the other thing to consider about stacking as well is in best ball, you're looking for ceiling performances, right? We talked earlier about correlation. Yeah. So, at the end of the day, who's going to give you? I'm also on the clock here. Wow, he made it all the way back. I did not expect that, but welcome to Team Los Osos.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I was thinking about him as well. I got a late nasty boy.
Yeah, it's what's interesting. Sorry, to kind of go back on my point there. What's interesting about those ceiling performances, you don't know when they're going to happen, but you don't have to start them, right? So like it's pretty easy if you're in a dynasty league or even in a redraft league to say like I'm going to start Josh Allen, with Dalton Kincaid every single week,
right?
But there's going to be weeks when one of those guys fails or both. It's going to happen. But in best ball, it doesn't matter because you're going to get the spike weeks, and that's really what you're after. So what you're basically saying, and I know Victorious had a comment right above Will's there saying, I'm a dynasty only player, but it sounds like best ball is about as much upside and stacking as possible. That's exactly right. So while you want to be stacked, at the same time, I really feel great about the teams when I leave a draft that are double stacked. Meaning I have a quarterback correlation with a receiver or a running back for both of my two quarterbacks. That's when I feel like, or tight end, right? And that's when I feel like, wow, okay, this team actually has a chance to advance. That's when I feel the best.
Right. And when Phil's saying advance, he's talking about tournaments. There's different. If you're new to best ball, one, keep listening to Rasta shows on Monday. Definitely check out me and Phil's. We're all best ball nuts. What you're going to find out is there's two different types of best ball fields realistically. There's 12 team, like it's kind of like a regular redraft season, but with not setting rosters, it's best ball. And there's large field tournaments. Right. People that play fantasy football often like poker. It's usually a typical overlap. So you can kind of think of it like a cash game, a 10-handed, 9-handed ring game, right? Or, it's a tournament where there's 1,000 players, and to win 1,000-player tournament, you're going to have to get it all in several times, sometimes bad. I mean, you're going to have to get lucky to win. There's just such an improbable.
It's going to be one or two times. Yeah. If you win a tournament,
it's just going to happen that way. So if you just admit to yourself, I have to get lucky to win this tournament. There's no way I can just draft slightly better players because, there's some years where you just either have Kyron or you don't. Right. There can be those situations. So when you're playing for maximum tournament level upside, and this is a tournament, you want, at least one stack, if not two. You want to only care about the optimal top end outcomes. If any of your players get injured, you lose. If any of your players finish if your top end players finish below their ADP, you probably lose. The only way you win these large field tournaments is by most of your big things, your big bets going right. And stacking is saying, I'm going to stack my big bets on top of each other. When I win everything. When I lose, it doesn't matter. I can't lose harder than losing.
Yep. So you can't believe you just took McMillan there.
That was brilliant, by the way. That's my. I was about
to. I was going to be like, this is for Gator. This is his guy. Shout out to his Bucks. He's in the chat. He's the one who turned me on to him. And I was about to say, this one's for you. And then Snipe City.
I was waiting for Kendall to finish talking so that I could go, Rasta, I'm about to take Tez Walker from you. And then I was like, no, I'll be a nice guy. Because I do like Jalen McMillan a lot, actually. I like Jalen McMillan as a late throw, dart throw here. But yeah, man.
Jones went.
Oh, that was brutal. That's one of those ones where you're like, oh, no one's taking this guy. Like I'm reaching, but someone else reached a little bit more than you. It wasn't too bad of a reach. It was only about 5 picks.
If I took Wandale earlier, I would have taken him. I like the late Wandale Daniel Jones stack quite a bit. I have so many of these gross late stacks after going Caleb, Justin.
But that's the thing about best ball, man, is it doesn't have to look sexy. And I think there was a couple of tournaments last year that I advanced in, and I didn't end up winning because Gino got hurt. But I ended up taking a lot of shares of Goff stacked with Amon-Ra, and obviously he finished very, very high last year. They both finished really well last season. And I took a lot of Geno stacked with Metcalf because I paid up for Christian McCaffrey and Justin Jefferson and some of those guys at the 101 to 103 type ranges. Yeah, so it's look, it's best ball. You don't have to go and set your lineup each week. You don't have to look and go, oh my God, do I really have to start Daniel Jones this week? Like the weeks that you're going to go, oh my God, Daniel Jones did something. You're like, oh yeah, best ball. I have him in best ball. And you're going to be excited about that. So.
Right. Well said. Well said.
If my team wins, if it's because if my team wins and the Bears aren't good somehow, this is gonna the late Broncos / Pittsburgh stacks that I'm working with right now feel so gross. Oh man.
What kind of Denver? So you got the week 17 Denver at Cincy. You have Denver at
this whole
Chargers,
team is just all Chicago. If the Bears are great this season, I'm gonna hurt some people. But if the Bears are what they usually are, we're in trouble.
Oh, Russell Wilson. I was looking for Russell Wilson because I was like, what do I have left that I can stack? I was like, Russell Wilson's got to be on the board, and then there he goes.
I know. I did try to correlate that Cincy game. Now I'm hoping.
Oh, do I want to take Tez and an 8th receiver? Or do I go for Jatavian Sanders? I need the tight end. We'll see if Tez
I was going
falls
to
back
take
to me.
Jatavian.
I was like, we'll see if he falls back to me.
He's going right now. He's not falling back to you.
All right, that was my chance.
He's going right now.
I know there was no way Sanders was coming back. Yeah, you gave me a whole round, so I appreciate that.
I did, and I took that. And to be fair, I took Ben Sennett in 15, so I was done at tight end after that. So now it's just late round dart throws at wide receiver for me.
Dang it!
I guess I can leave Kincaid Kmet as a. That's why I took him, because I can leave him.
Very nice, very nice.
All right, last round, nasty boy. Who do you guys like as your 18th round pick? What are some favorite dart throws?
Who's your Puka? Who's your Kyron?
I'll start. I have 2, and they're disgusting, and they make me want to go take a shower. But
that's the point.
I know, but these are like really gross. I like Alexander Madison and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I said that intentionally like that.
I like CH a lot there.
I think. Look, they're both going to be in situations where they're the clear number 2.
CH right there.
But if anything happens, they're on high. Well, the Raiders maybe not, but like Clyde's on a high-scoring offense, and he's going to get touchdowns. So do I want Clyde shares anywhere except best ball? No. But in best ball in the 18th round for my last dart throw, why not? And the same goes for Alexander Madison. Like everyone is convinced that Zamir White is going to be this like RB1. He's going to be the guy, and he is going to be the guy for a while. But you have to remember,
Mike Davis. That's Davis written all over.
That's the ceiling. Like that's exactly right. Like Alexander Madison was the new hotness last year, and nobody wanted him, and rightly so. Rightly so, right? And I know we're Dynasty guys, and we talk a lot about Dynasty, but people were stoked to have Madison, and it crashed and burned. And it wouldn't shock me if Zamir White, who finished on freaking fire over the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season, has a good season. I'm not shocked. If he crashes and burns, I'm not shocked. So yeah, I'll take Alexander Madison late on because injuries happen, especially at the running back position, and somebody's got to score rushing touchdowns for that team.
Right. So shout out to 369RY, new name to me here. Make sure you guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us, man. We're doing these best balls on Mondays. We got our Friday night mock series going every Friday. We're going to be doing a Scott Fish satellite this Friday, which will end our Scott Fish kind of season as the real drafts will be starting up the following week, turning to redraft season officially in July. So make sure you guys tune into that. But yeah, so he says Jermaine Burton was one of his own ones. He does agree with CH. Victoria says a little Dylan Lobby. Is that how you say it? I still haven't been sure how to pronounce it. I have a couple shares of him in best ball.
Yeah, that's a New Hampshire kid.
Yeah. So there we go. So 369 says CH knows the system very well. He'd be great if Pacheco is out or he gets tired. Little breather.
His feet might need a massage, man. They run so hard. I don't know.
Right.
Poor little feet get. So here goes Alexander Madison. I only have 5 running backs. I'm not really in love with any of the wide receivers here on the board. Tyler Boyd's there. He's kind of interesting.
I have him queued up just in case.
You can have him. I feel better about having an extra running back.
I'm not going wide receiver. I'm going running back too.
Yeah, just in case. I think Kendall, you were kind of talking about this a little bit earlier, and now that my draft's done, I'll kind of look at this as well. I went 2-6-8-2 here, meaning 2 quarterbacks, 6 runners, 8 receivers, and 2 tight ends. That's kind of my standard build. If I get 2 hero quarterbacks, if I take 1 hero and I miss out, then I might add a third. The other thing, of course, is if I miss out on tight end early, then I'll definitely take 3. But I'm absolutely trying to end each draft with 5 to 6 running backs and 8 to 9 wide receivers, because that's where the most volatility and the most scoring should come from for my roster.
Yeah. As long as I get that 5th receiver in before like the 7th round, then I felt like I've invested enough in that wide receiver position to where I feel comfortable with 7. And that leads to my 2-6-7-3 build that I did here. I'd say that's typically my kind of favorite because I usually go with that hero RB. And again, if I miss out on that elite tight end, that's the only time is if I'm able to still get my 5th wide receiver plus my elite quarterback plus my elite tight end, then I can go with the 2-6-8-2. But otherwise, I pretty much live in that 2-6-7-3 range. So just my preferred. And I'll kind of alternate sometimes between either 3 quarterbacks or 3 tight ends, but I never go 3 and 3.
No, agreed. You're losing a roster position. And I think that's a really good point to bring up as well as listening to you talk there, Rasta. If you sacrifice at one position, add another, you know what I mean? And I think that's the key for me in some of my builds is I don't normally go 2 high value quarterbacks as early as I did in this draft. So I knew I needed to get to 8 wide receivers because I was sacrificing, especially with that Rachaad White pick. I felt like there was a tier break there at running back when I could have easily taken a better, higher profile wide receiver. So I knew I needed to throw an extra wide receiver on the end of the roster at the end there as well. So
there you go. So we wrapped up this draft here. Kendall, I see you deep in thought over there. How you feeling about this team?
I gotta be honest, I like it a lot.
All right.
I like on first impression, I always look at like, okay, what's my like build, right? Because when we do a lot of these drafts, Ross, I know you do a lot of these. Phil, I gotta do some more of these. I know you're a complete dynasty guru, the sharpest auction drafter I know. I don't know how much best ball you do, so we gotta link up on that.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's been getting into it.
We haven't like traded takes on best ball enough to like feel each other out. Yeah, that's gonna be kind of fun to do. But generally, I want to look at like, okay, what's my build order, and then compare that to like my other like general builds. And I don't know about you guys. Whenever I have like, if I'm kind of punting a position, not really punting, but definitely going later. You're like, all right, so I went late. Do I still like my lineup even though I went late there? And does the rest of it like look adequately like high level? And I think I got the stacks that I kind of wanted. I like the hero RB. I think Chase Brown is a little bit weird for me. Him and Moss in the same roster is kind of weird.
Read us your team.
Yeah, okay. So
here, I was gonna do that right now. Yeah, let me bring it up.
Pop it up there, man. I can share my screen too.
Yeah, I have my phone because I did mine from my phone.
I think this is about the best I can get it. So he went with the 3-5-8-2 build, and go ahead. I'll let you read it. Oh, I'm not even. I thought I was sharing it on the screen, but I'm looking at myself. There you go. So it's over here in the right corner, but that's the biggest I can get it.
All good, man. So I got you there. At QB, I got Caleb Williams, Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson. This is a heavy Bears lineup. Caleb Williams kind of is my lineup. Herbert and Wilson as QB 2 and 3. So 3 QB build. RB, it's a hero RB build. Bijan, and then Monty, Zach Moss, Chase Brown, Tyrone Tracy, 8 wide receivers.
72 picks in between running backs for you there. I'd say that's a hero RB. Well done.
Yeah, that's again. That's why I reached a little bit for Bijan in the beginning over ADP. I took him over JJ. I do that, and I said it in a few videos. I do that not because he's higher in my rankings. It's because I detest 99% of running backs. I want to go hero so I can just wait and just not be in a position where I have to. And it allows me to do the wide receiver things that I want and need to in this format. Wide receivers went with 8. Devontae, DJ Moore, George Pickens, Rome Odunze, Darnell Mooney, Malachi Corley, little WKU love, Marvin Mims, and DJ Chark. So some chalk up top and then some dart throw deep ball threats between Mooney, Corley, Mims, and Chark are all kind of deep ball gadget guys. All guys I like in best ball, hoping one of those guys gets a touchdown per week. Tight end, I have Kincaid and Cole Kmet. So hyper bears stacked up, late round backdoor stack with Justin Herbert, and I've got I'm triple stacked at QB. So I'm like all the way stacked at Caleb. I've got my late best ball stack of Herbert and Chark in an open wide receiver room, which I like a lot. And then I've got the Pittsburgh, Russell Wilson, George Pickens, high upside, high risk, high reward stack, and some serviceable RBs. So that's me. What do you guys have going on?
Very nice. All right, let's give you a shot here. Let's look at Team Los Osos.
So I went with 2682, and the reason I only went with 2 is I feel really solid about having 2. Look, I have Jalen Hurts, who can be the overall QB1, and I have Joe Burrow, who should be a QB1 with top 5 upside. So I feel very confident in a best ball format, just rolling with those 2 guys. I'm also double stacked, which I really like. So I have Jalen Hurts stacked with Saquon Barkley and AJ Brown. So I have a Super Eagles build, and I have Joe Burrow stacked with T. Higgins. So my top 2 wide receivers are stacked with my quarterbacks. Look, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow have yet to play a full season together. We want them to be healthy. We're excited about them being healthy, but T. Higgins should have relevance in this offense regardless of Jamar Chase. And again, if Chase misses any time, I have the Cincinnati wide receiver 1. So at running back, similar to Kendall, I went with a hero RB build, Saquon Barkley, Rashad White, Gus Edwards, because touchdowns count and touchdowns matter a whole lot in best ball. And I think that he may not have the best season statistically, but I do think he's going to get the goal line and touchdown work. Austin Eckler for pass catching upside, and then Tyler Algier and Alexander Madison is 2 high end, backups, right?
Handcuffs, if you will.
Handcuffs, if you will, exactly. So at wide receiver, AJ Brown, T. Higgins as my 2 top receivers, and then obviously Xavier Worthy, Tyler Lockett, Gabe Davis as my deep ball, big play guys, and then Roman Wilson, dart throw, Jalen McMillan, and Don Vontaze Walker at wide receiver for the rookies.
You can still tell he does Dynasty a little bit there.
A little bit. Yeah.
It still bleeds into the best ball.
It shouldn't, but it does. And Jake Ferguson and Ben Sinnott as my 2 tight ends. So yeah, 2682 in this build, and Super Eagles stack and a Bengals stack as well. So excited for what this team's going to look like this season.
For sure.
I like it. If Burrow does his hey, and by the way, I'm actually just Patrick Mahomes light. Like, I got this, and he does a QB2 season. Like, I think with your team, there's such a clear path to like a victory, which is like a simple Bengals stack at QB tight end can be just enough to get you to an advance rate. I like that about Burrow this year as it's weird to say Burrow is a cheap top 3 quarterback.
Yeah.
But he really kind of is, because in best ball, you don't care about the downside. We only rate upside cases. We don't give 2 craps about downside. And his upside is a top 3 quarterback, and he's one of the few people that can do it in a non-rushing way. Great value with that pick. A lot. I love going 2 QBs with Burrow this year. That's sweet.
And I tried to get it, and he took Higgins right out from under me. I was trying to get that same thing going. So again, sucks drafted next to yourself, basically. It was terrible. It stuck right in between these 2 guys. So we'll see what I did stuck in between these 2 guys who kind of know me almost inside and out at this
What's you going to say about us if you win this whole thing, though?
I mean, it's just, it's just how it goes. It's that's what my expectation is, but I don't know about you guys, but hey. So I went with a 2673 build, as I said just a bit ago. Got Lamar, hoping I'd get that Andrew stack, but he went, I think, 2 picks right before. I had my eye, of course, on that Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, as I did take Amon-Ra with my first-round pick at the 106, but ended up having, I'm going to kind of go a little bit out of order just to tell the story of the draft. I had Reed end up fall to me as my wide receiver 3 in a nice spot. So then I kind of just pivoted. Of course, we always say be water when you're drafting. So I kind of pivoted off that. Obviously, when I seen that other guy stack, thinking I'm going to fall with him, I didn't want to have to take Jared Goff. He's already a value pick in general. That's what you like about him. The fact that I would have to reach around early just to guarantee me getting him. I liked kind of, I was looking for somewhere else to potentially pivot there. So that's when I went with the Green Bay stack. So I felt comfortable with those two quarterbacks, investing pick 43 and 91. Basically was done at quarterback after that. I did go with the Anchor RB build with Jonathan Taylor. I'm at pick 19 in the second round. And then, as you can see, went almost 80 picks before I took my next running back there. And was able to get Brian Robinson, Tajay Spears, Zach Charbonnet, Jaleel McLaughlin, and then Keaton Mitchell, just a little kind of backdoor stack there for upside play weeks 15, 16, 17 to get that, little stacking with Lamar in that offense there.
And yeah,
talked about
Jaleel and you have so many RB2s that can become RB1s. Like
and when you're drafting hero RB, like that's what your goal is.
At least in my opinion, that feels like two like accidental RB1s right there. And Spears is for me above Pollard straight up. I agree. I think I'm there.
And I got him, I think, a whole round after Pollard went. So I was very happy with how my running back room turned out. I didn't feel like I was chasing. They all kind of fell in good spots for me where I got them. Wide receivers, I feel very comfortable there. I'm on Raw, Devonta Smith, Jalen Reed, Jordan Addison, Christian Watson. I got a little bring back there with Amon Ra by grabbing Ricky Pearsall here.
And then was the Dynasty guy. You guys are 20, 23, 24 years old.
I just, I grabbed a guy just in case. You never know if Ayuk doesn't go there, and might be an opportunity for a pop-off week.
I think he's going this month.
It seems like it with what came out today.
I was telling Phil this the other day. I'm calling it right now. Ricky Pearsall he's a first rounder in the draft, so it's very different. But for me, he's my this year Puka.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, well, hey, makes me feel even better. Got him here. So I was very happy with that pick. I didn't think he would get past Phil, honestly, because Phil's usually been the big guy on Pearsall. Or
he convinced me to be in on Pearsall, and
I was going to say, or is that you, Kendall?
Any draft we're in, he did the worst thing he could have, which is talk me into him.
Oh, okay. So then, then I just brought it back with a little Bateman stack here. Like I said, as soon as I went Lamar and missed out on Andrews, I had Bateman kind of queued up. I was either between him and Tez, who I probably should have went with, but I just still have this affinity for Bateman for whatever reason. And hey, I'm going to root for guys that I like. And this is his, as they call it, the Jobu year, either put up or shut up. I keep seeing his highlight plays, man, when he's healthy and he's right. And with that cannon that Lamar has, that connection could be so sweet. Obviously, they didn't bring anybody else in to that wide receiver room, just Zay Flowers, who's basically, kind of the slot guy. Just in my opinion. So to have that vertical threat and Bateman and what he can do after the catch, I just hope it comes through. I reached for him a little early. I know pick 150 is going at 164. I just didn't want to, miss out on him there. And then I didn't usually get my trio of tight ends that I usually get, Henry, Otten, and Conklin. I was able to at least get Otten. Got a little stack there with Kraft. And then just grabbed a potential starting tight end here. And Jatavian Sanders. So, I prefer them not to both have a week 11 bye, but I don't really pay too much attention to bye weeks in best ball. So,
no.
So there we go. That's it. That's it for me. So that'll pretty much start to wrap up our Monday night best ball draft here on Underdog. Anything else you guys want to add on to that before we get the heck out of here? And what do you guys think? Ready to end this thing?
Yeah, man, this was a lot of fun. I'm glad we all got in. I was a little like, all right, what happens if like we're talking about your draft or like we're drafting on our own here, which would have been still fun, right? It would have been still good, but
it
was cool.
Knock on all the wood around you, because so far we've been lucky enough to have, even when we had 3 people on the stream, again with Gator here. He likes my Sanders.
And back
Sanders
to back,
pick there,
back to back.
Yeah, and then to have us at 5, 6, 7 was that was pretty interesting. So I'd like to see what happens if we were all spread out a little bit on how the teams
we got to do a few more of these.
Come together. Oh, for sure.
That's
not all together. So there we go. So other than that, man, before we get out of here, of course, I got some other. I'm not going to go into all the reads. It's already a little late. I want to get Kendall out of here, but of course, I want to give you guys the opportunity to tell us, or the new people who may not know who you guys are, where they can find you, what you guys have going on here. And let's go with Kindle first. Let me bring you up on a full screen here, my guy.
Oh, appreciate it, my man. Well, hey, if you like the way I think about best ball, I love best ball. I love Dynasty. I consider myself more of a draft specialist. I really like just drafting in general. I think I'm pretty decent at it. But come check me out over at the Fantasy Football Tavern. We're gonna be doing lots of mock draft content, both Dynasty. We're gonna do some Underdog Best Ball, and then some Redraft coming up, as well as a lot of Dynasty buy low and sell high content. Still new to the YouTube game, but we're having some fun with it. Everyone's been super nice so far, and that's big shout out to you, Rasta, and the Get Right Fantasy Network folks. They have been super great to me and Phil. But come check us out. I think we're putting out some pretty cool stuff. We got some collaborations coming up, some different content where we're going to do some Dynasty debates coming up. I think you're pretty quick.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, we'll let Phil Classic and Rasta battle it out. Should be a great time and a chance to meet some of the guys I haven't met yet in the Get Right crew. So looking forward to it. But come check me out, Fantasy Football Tavern.
There you go. Links in the live chat right now. If you guys are watching later, go down in the description. The links are there as well. And without any other further ado, let us know where we can find you, Phil, and what you got going on.
Yeah, so you can see up in the top right-hand corner here. I just changed it up. You can find me.
Perfect. See?
Yeah, see, I know what I'm doing here.
You got it going on.
You can find me on Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Pacific time, The Extra Point. I'm also on Spotify and on Patreon. So for those who are more into the podcast game and a little less for the live YouTube, check me out there. But the Extra Point is just all about finding the little differences that help us make the playoffs and win championships. So we're going to focus pretty heavily on Dynasty. I do a lot of auction startups. That's one of my big specialties. And I think a lot of folks are really excited about auction content. So we just did 2 auction draft shows over the last 2 weeks, and then had a couple of review shows to kind of talk through those. I won't have a show this week or next. My daughter's birthday is Thursday, and obviously next week, July 4th.
Birthday.
Thank you. So I'm going to take the next 2 weeks off of the live show, but I will have podcast content coming out in lieu of the live show. So again, Thursday nights, 7 p.m., The Extra Point. You can find me on Instagram. And then again, if podcasts are more your thing, go ahead and help support on Patreon and, of course, on Spotify.
There we go. Well said. Like a professional. You guys are awesome. Love that we connected, man. So happy to have you guys here. I Get Right. Just giving us that extra piece and continue to grow, filling in that Dynasty void that we have. We were all kind of just big redraft guys over here. So to bring in 2 Dynasty experts like this, we're doing this here for you guys. So make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe button for all of us here. We're having all the content for you. Come hang out with us. As we said, we're doing these mocks. We do have our mock draft tournament of champions coming up as well too. We're only a month away from that. I can't wait for it as well. And then of course, as I guess I got to get a little bit of a read in there, just to recap with everybody again here. Make sure you use that promo code Get Right if you want to jump in these underdog drafts with us. It's like it's the first time I'm doing a read or something over here. So make sure you guys check it out, man. Again, appreciate you guys for spending your Monday nights with us here. For all of us over here at Get Right, man. For Classic Mike, for Frank, who's out in Nebraska fishing or doing who knows what, having a good time. Very envious of him doing that. So shout out to you, Frank. Wish you were here, my guy. Of course, for Dustin, for Tycoon, and of course for these 2 wonderful gentlemen up here above me. We appreciate you guys. Tune in on Friday. We will be doing that Scott Fishbowl satellite draft here on Underdog. It's the charity league. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you go check it out. I think the top 500 people will actually win their spot into Scott Fishbowl 15 next year. So there's a good opportunity to get in that way. Make sure you are signed up at scottfishbowl.com for all of that. We did our golden ticket giveaway last Friday, which was awesome. The guy who did win actually had got in earlier that day on a wave. So Pat Joyce, who was the second place guy, was signed up. He was in there, got his invite within a few hours. So he's in there. So we'll be tracking his team, and he's actually doing a live draft in his hometown. So it was awesome that it went to him. So we'll be following with him. You have the whole Get Right community behind you, Pat. If you're watching, man, make sure you let us know how your team turns out, man, and we'll all be rooting for you. So anything else you guys have? Are you ready to ready to close up shop here tonight.
It's like 4 a.m. Kendall's got to be up and go
I
to
know.
work in like 2 hours. So yeah,
He's like, just brush your teeth and just head straight out.
I got a suit ready to go behind me. I'm just gonna throw on.
He's ready to go. For sure.
Love it.
All right, guys, man. From all of us over here, have a great night. We'll see you guys here on Friday. Peace out.
Wanted to write fantasy is the play. Marking nothing, but I tune in every Friday. Strategies provided.